Everybody, and welcome to this week's Lunch and Learn. I am Piper Harris, the coach and CEO of Poema Women's Success Coaching. So during this outbreak, this pandemic of COVID, I'm hoping to bring you some resources, something to take your mind off the anxiety, the uncertainty. And so once a week on Tuesdays, I'm hoping to bring Lunch and Learns to you. So when I have people that are involved in the Lunch and Learns, it's a very collaborative environment. It's creative. There's going to be dialogue going on, and it's something to uplift you during this time, some applicable tools that you can add into your personal life and or your professional life. So let's get to it. So again, welcome to this week's Lunch and Learn with Poema Women's Success Coaching. So what I wanted to talk about with you today is, amidst this uncertainty, where do we start first? Do we come up with a strategy to overcome and decide what we should do today? Or should we start with mindset? I want you to think about that. For myself, I am a strategic thinker. This is how I'm built. I like lots of lists. I like lots of schedules. But in the midst of this, I'm finding that writing a list and building out schedules is not exactly what I need personally. I do believe when we're in the midst of this uncertainty that we need to focus on our mindset first. So we need both, don't we? So the mindset, why? Why should we be working on our mindset right now as we're in this social isolation? Well, we can harness that negative emotion. We can break free from some negative habits that might be springing up, sitting on the couch, binging Netflix, maybe not getting, good food and water and sleep. And it allows us, when we're focused on our mindset, to live in the present rather than living in our anxious thoughts of the future or sitting and ruminating about the what ifs prior to this pandemic. Mindset really is our foundation. It's our foundation that we can build on while we're in the midst of this. Now, strategy. Why is this helpful? It's helpful for focus. You'll know what is ahead of you. That's why it's great to have yourself and your kids on a schedule. And it does give you relief from your thoughts. When you're scheduling things out, you have a list of 3 things to do, you know what you're going to do. You don't have to have these outside thoughts creating this chaos in your mind. But they both, you can see, work together, mindset and strategy. So in the next few weeks, we're going to be having these Lunch and Learns, and they're hopefully going to be building on top of each other for you. So number 1, we're going to start with gratitude. That's our mindset, to start with a grateful heart. That is truly how you're going to pull that mindset from anxiety and fears into the here and now. What are you grateful for? What are you seeing with the community around you? Number 2 is when we come up with our game plan. That's when we build our strategy. How do we overcome? What are our strategies for everyday life? What are our strategies for our business? What are our strategies for teaching our kids at home? And number 3, what we're going to see when we're working through mindset and we're working through our strategy and creating a game plan is we will see growth. We'll see growth as a community. We'll see growth as a nation. We'll see growth globally. You'll also see growth as an individual. You have the choice during this time to feel the fears and anxieties, or you can allow them to grow you in a way that you don't want them to grow you. So that's how we're going to focus in the coming weeks. So we're going to start with practicing gratitude. If you caught my live yesterday, I started with saying thank you to our educators and our teachers. As a working parent and now a stay-home working homeschooling parent, wow, that's a lot to say. Boy, is it hard. It is very difficult, especially with all the other fears and anxieties and what ifs that are going through my head. So yesterday I started with practicing gratitude, and I sent out a video message to all the educators and teachers as a big thanks. I can't imagine the work it took for our educators to prepare to have millions of kids online and learning, to ensure they don't miss out on learning, and to give all of us teachers the tools and the strategies that we need to step into their shoes. So practicing gratitude. How can you practice gratitude today? So here are some options. I have a great friend, Chip Baker, and I love what he says. Attitude determines altitude. It's one of his major quotes, and I love hearing Chip say this. Positive attracts positive. You can sit there on Facebook or any of these other social media outlets and scroll, and you can see lots of negative. And you can see what happens with these negative posts. One person says another thing, another person says another thing, and it's a snowball of negativity. So what can you do with positivity? Positive attracts positive. Just like there's a negative snowball, you can create a positive snowball. Life is 10% of what happens to you and 90% on how you react. This is scary. Nobody knows what's going to happen. Don't even get me started on stock markets and what does that mean for our financial futures. But it is entirely up to us what we do with this. This Lunch and Learn series is about what I can control, what I can give back to you and give back to the community. I could sit here and really fret about my business, and I'd be lying to you if I'm not. But I have a choice to not allow that to stop me in my tracks and to paralyze me. So life is 10% about what happens to you and 90% on how you react. Listen, complaining only makes things come to the present. Again, negative attracts a negative. What are you accomplishing by complaining? Yeah, it's not a lot of fun being stuck in the house and not being able to move, to move around and do things. Yeah, it's kind of boring if you don't have a schedule. Yeah, it's just not normal life. But what is that complaining doing to change your circumstances right now? Don't give up. Listen, a lot of us, business owners especially, we have dreams and aspirations. Or maybe you're going to school, or maybe you have other dreams and aspirations that you were charging full into, and bam, you hit this wall with this pandemic and you feel like it's never going to happen. Dreams are always difficult to reach, but they're worth it. So don't give up reaching for it. What are some other strategies? What are some other workarounds for you to continue on and pursuing those dreams and those goals that you were doing prior to this pandemic happening? Consistency over time creates greatest reward. I know you've seen people talking about this, that during times of great pressure and great tragedy, that there are amazing amounts of innovation and learning. If you are consistent with habits right now during this time of uncertainty, you will see a greater reward. Is that in your mindset right now? Practicing gratitude, creating that foundation so you don't get stuck in ruminating, in fear and anxiety, complaining. If you are consistent in practicing this gratitude and building this foundation, you will see a greater reward at the end of this. And excuses are lies. Listen, we are all in the same boat. We are all surrounded with this pandemic. You can create excuses about what you can't do, but there's always something that you can do. Remember, we're going to have fears and anxieties funneling through our hearts and our minds. You have got to filter them from truth and from lies. And most of the time, those excuses are lies because they are just fluffed up. It's the fear hiding in sheep's clothing. So you've got to recognize those things during this time. So, gratitude application. How can you apply gratitude in your everyday life while we're faced with this? Here's some options. Journaling. This is a great opportunity. In fact, one of my neighbors has her kids journaling every single day. So her kids' kids and their kids and their kids, generations of kids can read about how people had overcome the COVID pandemic of 2020. A gratitude jar. This is fantastic. Not only for yourself, put it on your office desk, but for your kids. What are you grateful for? And when you're having a hard time pulling yourself out of that negativity, grab something out of that jar to remember what you're grateful for. Same with a gratitude tree. This is something fun that I've done with my kids. Go out in the backyard and find a stick, a branch. Then come on inside, grab some construction paper, cut out some leaves, and have the kids write on those leaves what they're grateful for. Take a twisty tie, or if you have any pipe cleaners or a rubber band, and tie those around the branches of this tree. Stick that in their room in a little cup, and probably that empty toilet paper roll that you have. And they can look at their gratitude tree and they can add a new leaf every day and watch their tree grow. A gratitude box, similar to your gratitude jar. Now listen, sometimes we really have a hard time with the fears and anxiety. So here's some prompts. What are you grateful when you see for? When you hear, when you smell, touch, feel, taste? Think of something you can be grateful for that's blue, a bird, friends, teachers, family, home. Think of prompts, and that's going to give you an opportunity to think of something that you're grateful for. Sometimes it is difficult. So if it's, hey, Piper, think of something pink that you're grateful for, okay? Well, I've got this pink little rubber ducky on my desk. This was given to me by my kids just to make me smile. So think of those things. Come up with prompts to help you through this. Take a gratitude walk. We can walk around. Just don't breathe on anybody. Walk in the backyard, walk up and down the stairs, whatever it is. Take time, and during this walk, just recite what you're grateful for. And a gratitude letter. Who can you write to? Maybe write to your future self. Write to your future self. Write to your past self and say, these are the things I'm grateful for. These are the things that I've learned with you. So in closing, I want to say that I am really going to be available for everyone. Poema Women's Success Coaching is near and dear to my heart. I've been in the field of people development, counseling, and coaching for over 20 years. And I want to do everything I can to help you during this time. So stay in touch. Head on over to piperharris.net/COVID, and I'm putting enormous amounts of resources on there just for you. Or if you want to reach out to me, I'd love to hear from you. Send me an email at piper@piperharris.net, or send me a text message, 770-317-1126. And lastly, in closing, let me open up something new. I have created a worksheet for you and practicing gratitude to create this foundation to help us to practice our gratitude, create our foundation, going into strategizing and making sure that we are growing through this process. So as you can see, this little form, I'm going to put this on the piperharris.net/COVID page. You can download this, and this is going to help you. This is going to help you every single day. Fill this out every single day, and I hope that this gives you a little bit more joy and a focused approach during this time of fear and uncertainty. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am so grateful that I do have this opportunity. I am so grateful that I have the internet, that I have technology, and it gives me the opportunity to talk to you, to reach out to you. There is a community at your fingertips. Please don't sit in loneliness and fear. I am here for you, and I want you to learn, to grow, and to flourish even through this scary time. Thanks so much for joining me today. I'm Piper Harris with Poema Women's Success Coaching. I'll see you next week for our Lunch and Learn. Be sure to keep your eye out for links and more details. Thanks so much.